Hey everyone, this is episode 433 being recorded on the 15th of February 2022. This is the launch of Legacy of the Sith Day, and yet we're here. Obviously a little tempting to just kind of
I know, right?
maybe give it a day or two and then do the show, but we decided to stick to our usual schedule. Get some of that first day excitement in our voices, and we're gonna get this going here. So this is the raw version of the show, going out with all flubs and errors intact, and that is both live at twitch.tv/OotiniCast. We also put this raw version up on YouTube with no editing of any kind, but then we take the audio, clean it up a bit. If something needs to be pulled out, we pull it out and then put it out as a podcast on the morrow. So 7.0 is coming up. We're going to start the real thing here in just a second. Looks like some people are already here. Let me go ahead and tweet this out. And I think we're ready to go. We're right at the top of the hour, so that's all good.
Ready when you are.
Okay.
Waiting to retweet your tweet.
All right. Episode 433 on 7. Day. Okay, wow. I cannot type today, at least not on my screen here. Apparently we're now streaming at Tahiti.tv.
Thanks for the heads up on that. I'm sure the fine people of
Tahiti.tv will be thrilled.
Very happy.
Yeah. All right. Okay, tweeted it out. I somehow managed to make even that short tweet have no grammatical sense at all, but hey, we'll chalk it up to the excitement.
That's right. You're an English major. You learn all the rules and then you break them.
All right. Yeah, Kitty, I'm ready if you are.
I'm retweeting.
Got Meltzer here. Kitty Treats is there. Smooth Wolf is there. Awesome.
Okay,
all right.
This set up and ready to randomize when needed.
All right.
So what I'll do...
Go ahead.
I will highlight the name and I'll send it to you via Discord in a PM.
Oh, okay. And then I can whisper the code to them or whatever?
Yeah.
But we're going to announce it. Yeah, you can... Any way you want to do it is fine. We're going to announce it on live on the show anyway, so...
Yeah. I just wanted to get everything... All our ducks in a row.
All the ducks in the row. That's fine. All right. Let's go in 5. Hi, and welcome to the OotiniCast, the podcast that attended Finishing Academy on Coruscant. This is episode 433, being recorded on Tuesday, February 15th, 2022. I'm your host, Jill. With me is my co-host, KittyKissz. Hey, Kitty.
Hey, Jill.
Hey, no special guests today. We're just going live with the 7.0 Legacy of the Sith. That went live today, and so that's pretty much going to be the focus of this episode, with a few extra things around the edges. So what you been up to, and then what did you do today?
Well, first of all, I'll save it to last, the dinner.
Okay.
That we all went out to, but I watched the trailer about 10 times.
Yeah.
And then when I started streaming, I listened to a bunch of people saying, "This is why I don't take the day off on launch day." Da-da-dee, da-da-da. And then, boom! It went, and I got to play it all day, got a day off of work, had fun, got to stream, and it was really, really fun.
Right. And for the record, they were hoping to get live. It would have been about 10 a.m. our time Pacific. They were going for noon their time Central. They weren't able to make that. It was a little over an hour, maybe an hour and a half, hour and 3/4, something like that. And then they went live, and then people started to get on after that. In my case, I don't use the Steam, so I didn't pre-record anything. I didn't preload anything. I just waited until they actually went live, and then I just started the download. So it took me a little extra time as well for that. So I might be a little negative on like what the start time was. I might be like,
right,
pushing it too far, because it took me a little time, even once it had gone live, to actually download everything and get my computer going.
Right. And, this isn't my first rodeo. I was like, if it happens, that's great. If it doesn't, that's great too. And I was really stoked that it was only a little bit over an hour. And it was, I was super happy.
Hmm.
I was like, yay. So then I went and bought the Legacy of the Sith Digital Collector's Edition because I need the mount. I don't
Oh,
want it. I need it.
you need that mount. Okay, so
I
you
need,
you must have seen it then by now. How does it look?
yes. I've been calling it the Darth Malgus pressure cooker.
It looked like in the pictures, like there's not only it's one of those mounts where your character is physically completely inside, but
Yes,
it looks like there's a lot of details on the inside of the mount,
there is.
which is
It's really
interesting.
cool looking.
You can kind of zoom in your camera and look around inside, essentially.
I tried, but I couldn't find the sweet spot. But you can kind of look in through the window and see all the panels and stuff. It's really, really cool. It also has a flare, so it opens up. But when it
Oh,
opens up,
cool.
it lets out a little robot that follows you around,
Oh, okay.
which is kind of cool. It's like a little. It looks like it's a.
Does it pop
It's
open like a pressure cooker? Does it go?
it does. It really does. It goes, well, it does without the steam, but it does go. Grr, opens up. The little droid comes out the back, and it looks like it's got it's there to provide cover fire or something like that. It's like a boxy little robot, but
Nice.
it's pretty cool.
Looks like
And
Penn
then
has it too. Yeah.
yeah, I got the and then there's the new robot pet, which is pretty cool. It's pretty much like
It's the
one of the
group.
ones that they gave out for free.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's like a little camera
Little
droid. It's a little
Yeah,
cam
it's a
droid
little
essentially.
guy, but he's pretty cool. And then a double-bladed lightsaber. What is it, like 20 or 1,400 cartel coins and a month sub? It was totally worth it to me, and I love that kind
Nice.
of stuff. So I needed it. I needed it. Damn it!
I might get it too. I have not gotten it yet though. To be fair, to be
I think
fair,
it's worth it. I think it's totally worth it. And then I ended up playing most of the new storyline, and I did
on the
some of
Republic
the
side, right? I
yes
think
on
you
the
mentioned.
Republic side.
Yeah.
And I did a little bit of combat class tinkering on that one character
Okay.
of mine. And
So how did you tinker? What'd you end up doing?
I went with I really really wanted to go Guardian Sentinel, but I was like, yeah, I can. I want to be able to stealth if I want to.
Mm-hmm.
So I went with Shadow.
Right.
Yeah, and it's great. I love Shadow's super fun. The loadouts were really intuitive. I didn't have any trouble with it, and I'm not very good at that stuff.
Well, that's good.
So yeah,
So
it went
for
smoothly.
when you swapped it over, because I actually haven't. I took a second just to let you know where I am at. I'm at with that. I did do the little mission so that you can get a second one, and this is on my Guardian
Right.
tank. And I did also choose a Shadow just so I could have a stealth if I needed it.
Right.
But I didn't swap over to it because I did not want to have any issues. I just wanted to kind of like I was like, okay, I know that works. I have the secondary one, but I'm not even going to click on it. I'm not going to try it. I'm just gonna let's get going on the story. And so I don't know exactly what happens. So when you swap over to it, does it automatically fill your little button bars with abilities, and then you just move them
Yes.
around?
Yes, it does. You
Okay.
can the
And then
loadout.
you just
The
move them and
loadouts.
choose them.
You're the tree you want. So you could have a different setup for your shadow. Like you could have a PvP version, you could have a PvE version,
Right.
and all that can be kind of
I noticed that you can have 10, yeah.
customized.
Right.
Yeah.
And you can change the name too, which was nice.
Yeah, that's really cool.
And I actually did that. Even though I haven't even used the second one, I even renamed it as like a leveling / solo. Because
Oh,
I
that's
chose
good.
all the stuff
Right.
that's like, that wasn't clearly not like optimized for, operations and flashpoints and stuff like that. I just went for the stuff that's like, okay, this is good for when I'm just leveling and doing solo stuff.
Yeah, it also changes your gear out, which is really cool. So I I was very curious about it, but I didn't go on to the public test server and tinker with it.
Hmm.
I wanted to wait so that I had like a nice, something to do when it happened, when 7.0 dropped. And it was really easy even for a dummy like me. I figured it out And
Nice.
I love it. I think it's a great introduction into the addition to the game. Very, very fun. Very, very fun. And then, last but not least, I went to dinner with some friends, and it was very, very fun.
Yeah, that was fun.
Chill was there. Your wife was there.
Yep.
We had Chimeri, Rooney, Kitty Treats, and myself. We all went out and had some dinner and just hung out for a little while. And it was great. It was so fun to just kind of hang out and talk to people that are as enthusiastic about things that I am, and it was really fun. And
Exactly.
just to kind of hear stories and hear what other things people are into, and I thought it was really, really fun. But,
It was a heck of a lot of fun. Yeah, it was it was great. It was really nice meeting Kai. It was nice meeting Rune as well. She's at Runestone Art on Twitter, so if you like art, check her out there. And Chimeri's, of course, is doing his streaming, so check him out as well. And it was a lot of fun. We did the usual, the great typical Portland thing, where you go to this little place and there's like all these little trailer pods, and each one is essentially its own little restaurant. So everyone can just get what they want, and then and then you just eat all together, which is really great.
Yeah, it got a little chilly, but it was still fun. And I brought my GoPro and recorded the whole thing. I have no idea what I want to do with it.
Oh, good.
I was thinking of just playing it in fast forward.
Okay. Did the battery in fact die? I remember at one point Gemma pointed out that the little light had gone out, and then you checked on it and it looked like it had stopped.
We've got plenty of footage.
It was going for a while before that, though. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not sure what I want to do with it, but I just kind of wanted it there for prosperity, and it was great. It was really fun. I can't wait to do it again some other time.
Nice.
That'll be great. But what's up with chat, Chill?
All right, let's see. Well, I'm amazed that anyone was here, given
I know, right?
Given that it's 7.0 day, but hey, we do have some folks here. So 29 Oriel's here, A Gaines, Bing Cortana, Darklight Smooth Wolf is here, Deck is here, Kitty Trees is here, Meltz is here, Pen is here, Roxy's and Squishy Twitchy are all here. So hey, everyone. And I'm sure a lot of people who would normally be here are actually playing, which is totally fine. We get it. So all the way up to 7.0, I just kept plucking away at my little Vi smuggler character. I kind of realized right after the last show that my sort of in-brain goal of getting her through the story, like right before 7.0 dropped, was just way too optimistic. I ended up taking her like partway through Kotet, which leaves a lot more to go. And I'm gonna have to drop her for a while because I went to my main basically for leveling in this. So so and then we got to do the dinner. So today, Guardian Tank, which I must say, like, the damage felt really, really bad. Especially like as I leveled up, and it's like, the set bonus fell off, and then it was like, oh, this is even worse now. And so yeah, I would not recommend tank leveling for the story, but it was very easy. I was never ever close to death, except when I went in the water. And it turns out, no, this is not waiting water. This is insta-death water. Okay.
I know. I jumped over to an NPC and got a little too close to the edge and slipped in and died.
Oh, no. And you died too? Yeah. Well, that's probably still, mine was way dumber. Raining. I just went right into it. I thought it, because it looked like there's a little, I didn't realize they were docks, basically, is what I was getting. Because we had just gotten to this area and there's this water. And there's another thing just not very far away. I thought it was like a little pool or something. I had no idea. Oh, this is meant to be actual, like, out in the middle of Madon. This is the ocean, deep, 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 dead. Boom. And so I just instantly hit the water. It was dead. It was funny.
No, you walked out on it?
Yeah. I just
hey, this is really...
That was
They're
it.
like tourist.
Yeah. So I did do the little mission to get the second combat style, and I chose Shadow. But like I say, I didn't click it. I didn't touch it. When you do get it, you get like a little bit of big gearboxes to open up, which is kind of cool. But I didn't even open those. Like I said, I didn't touch Shadow at all, which is in a way unfortunate because I ended up needing to vanish and not being able to vanish at one point because I had a bug. There's this one security droid. It was a story one too, so you have to kill it, and it was aggroed. I couldn't target it. I couldn't hit it with AoE. And my companion, who was Arn at that point, wasn't doing anything to it either. Couldn't do anything to it, and I couldn't get out of combat with it because it was in an instance as well. So,
Did you guide it?
I just ran away. It didn't help. So I actually completely closed the program down. And then came back in, and I was still in combat. That's how bad it was. I was still in combat.
No.
Yeah, and then I was like, oh my god, this is gonna be real trouble. Like, how am I gonna get out of this thing? But the good news is, like, before I had closed the program, it was also bugged in such a weird way that Arn couldn't go on passive. So it was aggroed on Arn because he was healing,
right?
And because I wanted to see how much my damage was, so I didn't want my companion to do all the damage in the world, because I could have certainly survived, if I didn't have him healing, because I'm in tank mode.
Right.
But I wanted to see how my damage was. I didn't want my companion doing all the damage, or even like a large percentage of it. So I had him on heals, and because he was healing and I couldn't target him or affect him in any way, apparently. It was really weird because he was right there. He was in the middle of the room before I closed the program anyway. And
so he was like dead center in
he was
the room?
Right there. He was kind of near
Arn,
and Arn was like on one side of this little doorway, and it was on the other side, and they were kind of looking at each other, and they were aggroing. The things were happening. Like Arn was taking damage, and then he was healing it right back up. But I couldn't touch him. Arn apparently couldn't touch him. He wasn't affectable by anything. AoE taunts, AoE damage. Nothing was doing anything to this thing. And for whatever else reason, I don't know why, Arn couldn't be put into passive. So I couldn't have him just follow me. Because I ran away for a while, but because I couldn't put Arn on passive, he was just standing there apparently arguing with the droid, so it wasn't going to reset no matter what, apparently, at that point. So I was like, okay,
a staring contest.
I gotta kill this program and come back in. And it actually put me right back in that room with the droid, and we were still in combat. It was really, which is so bizarre, but now I could put Arn on passive, and then when I dragged us far enough away, even though we were still in an instance, eventually the droid we were out of combat, and it was fine. I actually aggroed another group that I hadn't had to fight because they were kind of off to the side. So I went ahead and fought them, just wondering if like going into combat again would kind of like help shake things up. I don't know if it did or not, but at the end of the combat, we went out of combat properly, and then I went back, and the droid was dead. So we didn't touch the droid, and it just self-destructed at some point. Anyway,
that's weird. Did you try?
That was a very weird bug. I didn't try /stuck. That was like the one thing I didn't try. But I knew in combat it would just kill me anyway. So I don't know. Call me bullheaded. I just didn't want to do it that way.
Yeah, this coming from the guy that punched his way through the storyline. I know your headspace, Joe.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I could have tried that too, but as it turns out, doing all this other BS worked. Which reminds me, and we found out there is a workaround to this, but if you get this bug, I got this bug a lot, and it was really bothering me, but I didn't know about the workaround. They just put it on their forums not long ago. The bug is it gives you those little boxes that's supposed to give you like, okay, this is your lower gear, and it's supposed to be 312, or sometimes it's 318, but most of it was 312 for the part of the story I was seeing. And I would open it up, and the box would disappear, and there was no gear. It was just gone. And it was like really disappointing, because it's like, okay, this is supposed to be an upgrade, and it's like, okay, now I've got nothing. And it happened like out of 5 boxes, it happened 4 times. So
Ooh.
I have very little upgraded gear. Like all my gear is still 306 basically.
Whoa.
Yeah, it turns out there's some, they don't know what the bug exactly is, but the workaround is you go into your character settings and you actually choose. There's a way to like choose the kind of loot you're gonna get. Like you choose like the spec, the kind of spec that you want to have loot for.
Right.
And if you do that, apparently then it will give you loot based on that. It's supposed to just do it based on your current one if you haven't chosen anything, but it's not doing that in some cases apparently. So in my case, it was just like treating it as though I had nothing chosen, and therefore you get nothing. So yeah, so what I'm going to be doing like next time I'm on that character is going in and choosing the loot type that I want for that character, and then hopefully that workaround will work. Apparently it is. I mean, they put it up on the forums, and it certainly sounds good to me. But yeah,
it seems odd to have a no.
I have basically like
option.
I have straight 306 gear, and of course it has no set bonuses now either.
Right.
And they also changed my tactical, which sucks because I liked how the tactical was earlier, and now it's different because it's
I didn't even think of that.
It's a tank tactical that reduces the cooldown of an ability, but it now reduces the cooldown on a different ability than it did before. And I don't like the one that it lowers the cooldown of as much, like nearly as much. It's like it's doing it on the basic saber, saber or whatever it's called. It's not saber reflect. It's the other saber one that's like a 2.5 minute cooldown, and it improves your defenses by a certain amount for 12%. It reduces tech and force damage by 25%. It's a reasonable defensive ability, but it's pretty boring. And the one it used to do was the more interesting one, where you click it, and for like the next 10 times you take damage, you actually heal for it, and it's like it's a way cooler ability. Right. So that one now is kind of stuck at having a longer cooldown, and I have the improved cooldown from the tactical on this ability I don't give a damn about. So I'm not sure what I'm going to be doing in terms of like choosing a main. If I'm going to stick with the spec or try the same character, but try one of the damage specs or one of the shadow specs, because I've got shadow potential as well. So I can be a tank there, or I can be 2 different kinds of damage there as well. So lots to think about there. But yeah, that empty box issue is getting to be really, really frustrating. So I'm definitely going to be choosing that choosing the loot specification for sure. So
it just seems odd to me that that would even be an option to turn loot off.
Well, I think what it's meant to do is it's supposed to like look at your like loot selector, because you are supposed to be able to override, whatever your current one is. You're supposed to be able to override that if you really want to. Like let's say I'm leveling damage, but I really need that tank gear because I'm going to be a operations tank. Gotcha. You can level and you can get tank gear even though you're in a DPS spec. That's why you're supposed to be able to override it. And so it's looking at that clearly, because apparently that's the workaround and that's going to make it work. But it's not then, if you haven't chosen any of those, it's not then saying, okay, go to the current spec and just use that. Instead, it's using nothing. It's saying, you haven't chosen anything, I'm not going to give you a squat. So
computers reading code,
and I don't know how common it was. It's possible that maybe it's only for Guardians or something about my character or gear, or who knows. Apparently it's common enough that it's like going right up on the forums when they have a workaround, though. So there you go.
Huge one.
Yeah. So that was, but I'm still having fun. I'm not even done with the Republic side story yet. Because like I was a little careful in even getting into the story. I was like looking at different things and checking out the UI. How do you like the UI, by the way? Some of the changes feel pretty moderate. Like crew skills are basically the same. Conquest is very, very similar. The daily login rewards system seems to be pretty similar. The inventory is kind of annoying to me, because
I agree.
They made it more up and down, and I think eventually I'm going to like it just fine, because I don't mind the fact that it's not taking up so much left and right space. In fact, I kind of like that, because there's going to be times when I'm like, doing things and wanting to have other windows open with my inventory open. I think I'm going to be fine with that. But the problem is it moved everything around. So it's like, And I have and because it's my main character, it's like, I've got a fair bit of stuff kind of stuck in your inventory because it's like, the weekly stuff that you get, and secondary gear and your stims and your adrenals and all that stuff. Poor Dr. O. I have Dr. O in every character's inventory, and as far as I can tell, there's really not going to be anything for him to do. I did actually pull him up and then see it under all to see all trainable, and it's kind of just grayed out. Like basically everything's just going to automatically happen. Apparently, it's possible that heroic moment might be a counterexample, and you might actually need to do that one still, because that's the one thing that kind of showed up for me that highlighted that was like, oh, okay, this might be something that doesn't happen automatically, but even that probably is going to happen automatically. I'm probably wrong about that, but and I know they have also said in the show notes and elsewhere that that your mounting is just going to be automatically be trained as well. So at least up to 130%. I presume 40 and 50 is still going to be a purchase, as far as I know.
Right. Yeah.
They didn't mention it, so I'm going to assume that that's going to be the same. Anyway, so. So I did a bit of mucking about before I got into the story, and because I wasn't, didn't have a ton of time between then and getting ready for the show, I didn't get all the way through the Republic story. So I still have apparently the flashpoint. There's going to be a flashpoint, kind of like there was with Onslaught at the end, and I'm some chunk of the way through the story, maybe before that, maybe halfway or a little bit more. It sounds like from what we were saying before the show.
Right.
And otherwise the interface seems fine. It's a little slicker, maybe. I don't mind it. Some of the font choices are a little funky. Like mostly it's pretty readable, but the ones up above where it's actually highlight, like it's the same kind of the same font, but it's also highlighted with like a lighter color, like white. That outlining really makes it funky to read. Like if I didn't know I was in this crew skill bar, it would take me a second to figure it out. It's not very legible. They seem
to be a lot brighter too, which has kind of messed with my eyes a little bit. But
yes, that's true. The colors are a bit brighter for sure.
Did you notice that?
The colors are a bit brighter and a bit lighter. Yeah, I would say so. So. Maybe it's a look and feel thing that they want. I don't know. It didn't affect my UI at all. Like, the actual UI settings where I have my bars and where I put my, mini map and all that stuff. All that seems to be just exactly the same, which is perfect for me because I don't want anything moved around or anything.
No.
I thought I heard you say at one point that you were having some troubles with key bindings. Is that right?
No, I didn't really have any trouble with the key bindings. I just, I had redone my key bindings. Like I reset some of the abilities on my toolbars, and that takes a couple of days to get used to, especially if I've been doing it the same for 8 years.
Okay, cool. So that was nothing to do. That was really nothing to do with the UI changes. That was just something you had decided to do. What made you decide to change your key bindings then?
It made sense the way I have them set up to set them up in a new way. Like as years have gone by, I've added new key bindings. So I would only be able to put them in spots that were available.
Right.
And, now I can go, oh, wait a minute. All of this stuff is key binded. Why don't I just stack it? So for instance, if I have, delete end and page down. Mm-hmm. Underneath that, I'll have, because I have it controlled as well with all those commands.
Okay.
So I'll just put the original one and then the other one with the control on it right underneath it. So it just makes a lot of sense when I look at it.
Okay.
Because it's the same pattern on my UI as it is on my keyboard.
Right. So intuitively, your brain just immediately goes, okay, that corresponds to that, therefore, boom. And you don't have to think hard about it. Yeah, that makes sense. Exactly. I like that. Okay, excellent. All right, let's go on to the tip of the week. And you had a tip of the week right before 7.0 dropped. It's a little late for it now, but go ahead and give it to us anyway.
Okay, so I have two, actually. I just remembered another one. Okay, I got a lot of questions today while I was streaming, and one of the repeating questions was, "Where are my vehicles?" Well, vehicles are under your what is it? I think
Abilities.
it's under abilities under P, but there's a drop down menu, and the drop down
Right.
doesn't quite go all the way down, so
Mhm.
you'll have to wheel scroll down
Right.
and it'll pop it up. So it's still there. You just got to work a little harder to get it, and hopefully, they fix that because it's really annoying.
Right. For my established characters I should be okay. It certainly I didn't notice any problem on on my guardian because I already have on my bar, the activate random mount, and then I have a bunch of them chosen. And as far as I can tell, they're also the same choices I had before. I didn't notice mounting up that I was getting anything weird that I hadn't chosen before. So so that seems fine. But yeah, I remember on the test server I was having a problem getting into the vehicles.
Yeah, it's like,
And
where are all
sounds
my
like they made it a
mounts?
little easier, but not as easy as it could be, maybe.
Yeah, I can't stand drop down menus.
Right.
I mean, they have enough space on the UI. Just put it on there. That's one of the things I can't stand about the outfit designer is that they only have like 4 choices, and then you got to arrow it over, and there's all this space all over.
Right.
The character designer. You could just boop, put 16 down the side, and you can just click them instead of having to tab through and find the one you want. Yeah.
That
Okay.
makes sense.
The next one I have and is still viable
Right.
is take a screenshot of your toolbars with all of the abilities that are in it. Because if you're anything like me, it is a pain in the butt to remember what goes where on your toolbars. And now with, the loadouts and stuff like that, just taking a screenshot and labeling what it is and throwing it in a file on your computer will save you a lot of time.
Right.
A lot of time.
And I could see someone doing this, like, if they've leveled up a character, they love how the spec feels, and it's like, oh, but I also have friends who play on the other side. I'm going to make a mirror character. What abilities are in what order, and let's do that out. I mean, I basically have a mental map basically now, because like
if you close your eyes, you can see it.
I use so many of the I essentially use like the same buttons. Like for example, everyone has an interrupt, everyone has a CC breaker, so those always go on the same buttons for me. Like it doesn't matter. Like I don't care, tank, healer, DPS, spec. I don't care. Those are always in the same button. And then like the main abilities are the easy to hit buttons, and then like I have certain other ones that are always like movement abilities, or always CC abilities, or always defensive utilities. Short defensive cooldowns are on some easy to hit buttons, stuff like that. It's like, and it's all so even though it's not mapped quite like by doing a screenshot like you're suggesting, I've sort of developed that over time. But if you're newer to the game or whatever, or you're coming back after a while, it would be very good to have a screenshot for sure.
Or you're using a token to go to 50. You're like, now you just have all these abilities dumped on you. You're like,
no.
What's frustrating too
crazy.
is that you can see it and see the little emblem on it at like Shadow Stride, and it's called Phantom Stride.
Right, and they do have, and of course they always look
just
different too. Yeah. But hopefully there's enough hints from the pictures of the other side's ones that you can figure it out. It's like, okay, yeah, that is the AoE one, and I recognize that. That's like your spammable auto attack or whatever. Yeah,
it's a good time saver, especially if you're doing it in a pinch too. Like you're switching. Well, now that we have loadouts, it's going to be a lot easier. But
yeah, that'll be cool.
Yep. Yeah. So little tips.
So before we go on to the Mind Trap, we have some Volptilla codes to give out. We're going to do a couple every show until they're gone. So let's go ahead and do one of them now, Kitty. Why don't you do the randomization for me and let me know who wins?
Randomization today is one Lord Meltzer.
Lord Meltzer. Oh my gosh. Woo woo. All right. Well, Lord Meltzer is Meltzer. Congratulations, 433, and I'll in Meltzer, in your case, I know we also follow each other on Twitter, I will do that via DM because I know that one's a little easier for me to find. Let's see. Hang on a sec. So I can also do it via the Whisper in Twitch, but I have done it that way. I just don't always feel it doesn't feel as safe, you know. So we're gonna do that. Okay, code sent. Congratulations.
Code sent.
Volptilla. Yeah, it's a fun mount. I found like I had gotten the Fire Volptilla at one of the OotiniCast, the Ducky events, and that was really cool. And I got the other, you know, the Opal Volptilla, which is more like it's a little toned down, and it's brown also instead of like bright red and, you know, flaming and all that sort of stuff. So it's not as fancy, but it turns out I kind of really dig it. I really dig how it looks, like even more than the fire one. I use it on more characters.
Me too.
The fire one, it's kind of specific. Like, it's, you know what I mean? It's like, it's going to be good for specific characters. The Opal Volptilla is like, practically anyone who's going to mount any kind of animal, I just love to have that one for that character.
It's a nice earth tone.
Nice earth tones. It's still got a little bit of glow to the crystals. It's not super bright, but it is there. It looks really good. The animation, the running animations and so forth are really nicely done.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. So congratulations, Meltza. And let's see, that moves us on to the Mind Trap then. And the question we had, and I think this was your idea initially, Kitty, and I loved it, is 1 week until 7. Because we always do this a week ahead. 1 week until 7.0 Legacy of the Sith. What game change are you most looking forward to checking out, not including story? And then the 4 answers were level 80 plus gearing. I sort of consider those almost the same thing, because essentially gearing is just like leveling part 0.2, you know. Loadouts, combat styles, and then Conquest and Galactic Seasons 2. And I kind of lump those together as sort of like the things that you get, you know, points for doing in the game, essentially, you know. Plus we only had 4 anyway, so I couldn't have broken it down anymore. So I decided to put Conquest and Galactic Seasons 2 together. What did you vote for, Kitty?
Combat styles.
As did I, and that was in fact the winner by kind of running away. We had a pretty reasonable 563 votes, and almost 60%, 59.5%, were combat styles, and that makes sense. It is sort of like the big change in many ways. I'd say, like, even though loadouts is going to be very good for quality of life and for, you know, doing certain things, combat styles actually allows you to take, you know, characters and play them in a way that you haven't been able to play them before. Like, there was no such thing as a stealth knight before. Now there is. You can take a knight, you can choose one of the 4 stealth classes and take them through the Jedi Knight story doing stealth, which is pretty cool. And so it did kind of win running away. Level 80 plus, and then plus gearing took in second at 16.5%. And then Conquest and Galaxy Seasons 2 was actually 12.1%. And last was actually loadouts. Although, you know, at 11.9%, or call it 12%, you know, there are definitely people who are interested in that too.
Yeah, it's great.
So, yeah. And for some reason, I don't know why, but usually what I'm able to do in Twitter is kind of copy paste, and it kind of looks like Twitter when I do it. This time it didn't work that way, and I don't know if that's a new thing or temporary or whatever, but I did pull over some of the ones that grabbed me instead, and it just looks very boring. Right? Yeah, for the people who are answering back. For example, Flopleg said, for me, it's loadouts, 100%, so part of that proud 11.9%. My plan is to set up my character to be able to fill all roles as needed. Combat styles, and especially loadouts, will enable that. Tank, healing, IOE for PvE group content, AP for questing, ARS for PvP, and I'll finally be able to mix and match. And it's true, because all you have to do is make sure to choose one that has a tank, one that has a heal, and if you do that, you're golden. Like my main, you know, the Guardian, I won't be able to heal on her because I chose, she's a tank Guardian, and that's still her main, and then Shadow secondary, but that's another tank one, so no healing. Or you can even do one that's damage, but whatever. So yeah, but you can definitely do it where it's like you have one tank, one heal, and then, or tank and DPS, and then one and then one heal, and then DPS, and just kind of go the way you want.
Right. The trifecta.
Yeah. And let's see. So let's see. It also makes it harder for me to read. I don't know why, even though it's just the normal font and everything. Anyway, so someone else who answered was 14 PDX Dad. That's how I felt when Coffee came out. Let's see. And it completely changed the gameplay mechanics, so I only log in a few times a week now. Let's see. Graham answered D, Conquest and Galactic Season 2, but honestly, none of it. The first time it happened pre-expansion, I just liked the idea. The expansions have been sluggish, so it's a shame there's nothing for him to excite. Some people not into it. Shintar said, Season 2, somewhat to my own surprise. I quite enjoyed Season 1 after not really expecting to, and the season changes for Season 2 sound very positive. I don't have any immediate plans to do anything with combat styles or loadouts. And then nice. Naikara, and I actually answered him back, answered, why is story not an option? Because I actually specified that in the question. I knew, because I knew that was sort of like the thing that's sort of like the elephant in the room. And it's basically because we wanted to find out, beyond story what people were interested in. Because these other changes are all more like changes to the game itself, like how the game plays and so on. We knew that, like, if we had taken out, like, say, Conquest and Galactic Season 2 and stuck in story, that would have won. Like, story would have won. They would have run away with it. We know that. But story is not quite the same as these other sort of gaming changes. So, combat styles changes how you play the game. Loadout changes how you play the game. Getting to level 80 and then gearing up changes, and then Conquest and Galactic Seasons 2. So, yeah. So that's why we did it that way. We know that story would have won. That's just how it is. Looking
forward to the story today. I was like, I want to get in there and see what happens.
Nice.
But yeah.
Fun. Yeah. Normally we do Cantina talk at this point. It's sort of the new thing we're doing, talking about the voice actors of SWTOR. Because of 7.0, we're gonna skip it this week. We've already got one juicy one that Kitty suggested for next week. But let's get on to the Holo feed. So, starting with the other sort of big elephant in the room that happened today beyond 7.0 itself is the new SWTOR video, Disorder. Mm-hmm. It dropped today. It's great. We've got a link to it to the YouTube. And it was actually created not by Blur. This is not a Blur trailer. This is the first time they've done a big trailer like this that wasn't a Blur trailer. This was Industrial Lights and Magic.
No
VFX
way.
did it.
I didn't know that.
Yep, they even on the tweet where they put it out, they even mentioned how it was done by ALM VFX, and I went over there, and I actually already followed them, and they actually have their own tweets about it as well, which is kind of cool.
Cool.
So, and I had thought, and I had noticed even when I was watching it, like it feels slightly different. Not necessarily worse or anything, although I think Blur, there's something magical about Blur because like they did the original, SWTOR ones, and that was like, 11, 12 years ago, they would have had to be working on them. And they still hold up. Like, it's crazy.
They're still great.
It's crazy how good a job Blur has done over the years. Mm-hmm. However, this one was done by Industrial Lights and Magic, and it also looks great. Maybe I'm being biased, or maybe I'm biased because I know that it's not Blur, but I do feel sort of a slightly different way of telling the story, slightly different ways of like using the camera and using effects and so on. But I thought it was an interesting story, and it's clearly, going to come into it at some point. I don't know how spoilery we want to be because, this is still the same day that it dropped. So maybe we don't spoil it, but what did you think about it, Kitty?
I really liked it, and I didn't know it was Industrial Lights and Magic.
Yeah. So going back to Star Wars roots.
One of the things that I did notice about it is that the other trailers used to have these giant cinematic, like wide shots of landscape and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. This one was really like compact.
Right.
It felt like you were stuck in a room with this story, which I thought was pretty cool. But I thought they did a great job.
Slightly different ways of telling the story. Yeah,
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was great. I didn't know it was. I mean, we all kind of thought because of the teaser trailer that we saw that there was gonna be something. So I was like, yeah, there might be something. But as soon as that they said that they had a trailer to drop,
Mm-hmm.
it was like Christmas for me. I was just like, yeah.
It's
And
funny
I'm
because we knew that it was a possibility or even a probability because there's that one shot that they had used in
the
the
eyes.
of the eyes,
Yeah.
the close up of the eyes that they had used in the here's highlights of all the SWTOR trailers
Right.
video that they had done, and it had this shot that clearly did not come from any of them,
And like, that's
and
very
and
detailed.
yeah, but it had been a while, and I kind of forgot that that was probably still
Yeah.
coming out, and sure enough, it did.
Bam.
They did a nice job. It was interesting that it was not a character that we had known from
Right.
uh, you know from SWTOR stories or anywhere else. It's a completely new character clearly, and yeah, good stuff. I wanted to say
Malgus's
Malgus looks
eyes.
interesting. Yeah, he definitely needs
Oh,
Visine for sure.
a little bit of
He's got
Visine in there.
the serious pink eye going for sure.
Oof,
But it
he
looks
looks so
cool. It
good.
does look. I mean, I make fun, but he does look pretty badass.
Yeah, he
And
looks
he
totally
also,
badass.
yeah, he also is the. I mean, he gets a little more raggedy in every video because like if in the very first video he's one thing, and then in the second video he's a little more messed up, and then he gets
He's
even
very
more messed up in
pristine.
Hope. Yeah, and he's had some problems since then too. He gets knocked down a shaft and everything else, and yeah,
Respirator.
so there's the respirator, of course, still. And the eyes are definitely different. There seems to be, I don't remember like the really gougy looking kind of scar. It's like a scar, but it's almost like a gouge across his forehead.
Right. He's got a clamp on it.
It could have come from something before. It almost feels to me like maybe something they added because of like maybe the Corellian flashpoint, the end of the Corellian flashpoint, where you actually fight Malgus, at least if you're on the Republic side.
Right.
And there's a bunch of like crazy stuff that happens, so maybe he got injured during that, or it could be something else or maybe I'm just messed up and he had it and I just forgot. But I don't really remember that particular sort of gougy, sort of across the forehead and going back towards the, not straight back towards the head, but kind of around the side a little bit. It was interesting, an interesting choice
Yeah.
too.
I don't remember if it was there or not. I think it was.
Yeah.
But I couldn't say for sure. And we look at his face every day when we're loading into the game.
Right.
But yeah, he started off, he looked like a normal human being, like a really pale, stark white human. And now he's messed up.
Yeah, that's
He's
exactly
messed up, but he looks so sinister.
right.
It was good. But I really,
One-
really like that stuff.
One thing that's sort of a little bit like some of the earlier trailers, especially not so much the Malgus earlier trailers, but ironically, the non-Malgus earlier trailers, which the Eternal Empire ones, is in those stories, you get sort of like a little bit of there's a little like lying that's going on, like especially when Valkorian's talking, he's like giving his version of things.
Exactly.
And that happens
Right.
in this trailer too, but from Malgus's point of view. And it's like, and it's pretty clear that like something fishy is going on both sides, but how much of it's true and how much of it, is Malgus, leading on
Gaslighting.
someone in this story is a little up for debate, or or maybe we'll find out later or whatever.
Yeah.
But it was interesting because it's not clear. Like it's not clear. Okay, this Jedi is doing the right thing. This Jedi is doing the wrong thing.
Exactly.
Malgus
Right.
is doing the right thing. Malgus is doing the wrong thing. It's none of that is really clear, and that is I like that. I thought
That's
it was very
something
interesting.
that I noticed
Way to
too.
go.
It gives both perspectives, and it validates both perspectives as well. So I thought that was really interesting.
Mhm.
Although you're hearing it from, I don't want to spoil it, but
Right,
you're hearing it from two different people too. So it's
Yes.
yeah, it's great.
Yep.
It's really good.
So yeah, so overall, very happy with it. I thought it was really, really well done, and I'm definitely going to be watching it a couple more times after this too, because I have watched it several times already. I was hoping that I could take one of the quotes from it and use it at the beginning of the episode, because that's kind of my thing. Instead, I used one from Boba Fett, because like there's not a lot of dialogue. It's a very well told story, like with some dialogue. It's not one of those completely silent ones, but like minimal dialogue, like not a lot going on vocally, and just nothing that really fit the way that I like to say things at the top of the show.
Right.
But I was definitely looking for it. In fact, I watched it once. Literally just like listening at every word to see if I could do it, and it's like nothing really works. I could have squeezed it in, but it would have felt really weird. Anyway, so yeah, so well done. That was very excellent, and clearly, like a lot of the people at BioWare and SWTOR were like really happy with it, really excited about it, and clearly had known about it a while too, because like. Yeah, especially like Jackie and Musco, like the tweets they were giving out were making it pretty clear that they've been sitting on this for a while. Like they knew this was coming, and they had to like bite their tongues for like a long time over this. So that's really cool, which makes sense. I mean, it's been months since we saw that other trailer with the eyes, the close up of the eyes. So yeah. Right, so let's go get through some more of the news then. Events for February, we did have Relics of the Greed ended right before 7.0, so that's done. Pirate Incursion will be coming up from February 22nd to March 1st, and that's the usual, Dantooine Pirate Incursion. So if there's stuff that you like from there, that's when it'll be available again. There's also, let's see, the 10-year anniversary, and this one's every time they do this is going for like the next year basically. It goes through January of 2023, so this is like a lot more. So there's the new class ship stronghold decorations, anniversary personnel and stuff like that. And the new items that are planned with the event won't be added until the launch of Legacy of the Sith, and now it's launched. So some of the stuff that we've been kind of known was coming, it should now be available. So there should be now anniversary stuff on the anniversary vendor. I've not personally checked that out yet, but I'm looking forward to. There's another cosplay kit out, which I thought was kind of cool. They've done this before. They did it first with Lana Beniko, and now they have done it for Satele Shan. They do it under BioWare.com, and it's actually like this official kit. I must say, though, when I tried to click on it, it was giving me some sort of error, so I don't know if that's just my computer or if other people are having that issue too, but it's still pretty cool. Like I said, they did the Lana Beniko one a while ago, and now there's a Satele Shan official cosplay thing, which is cool. I assume there'll be a male character at some point. I think it's kind of cool, though, that like there's something very geek nerd related that's maybe that's a little more popular to do for women, because there's a lot of women cosplayers, a lot of men cosplayers too, but it's actually something where it's not like completely like male dominated. It's very egalitarian, which I think is really cool. So I think it's really neat that they've gotten two really important SWTOR characters on there, and I'm sure there'll be more.
Our good friend Fiona has always said that if she did cosplay, she would do that Satele Shan iteration. So
nice.
Looking at you, Fee.
Yeah, that's right.
Get it done.
The kit is there.
It's there.
That's really cool. Special note, in the kit, Satele Shan is presented as she is currently in game, not in her originally outfit where she was initially introduced. So I guess this is more like when you would see her like on a Destin and post that. So yeah. All right. Legacy of Sith Digital Collector's Edition, which I know you have. I do not have yet. I'm getting more and more tempted by it, though. It sounds really cool, actually.
You want to buy it, too?
There was apparently I know that there was a bug that they also talked about on the forums. Apparently, especially getting it through Steam, there was like some sort of issue, but apparently that's been fixed. You should not have to contact them or anything. It should now be in your character's mail now. So if not, then, well, I guess you will have to get hold of them. But Yeah. There was a CPU bug for people who had so-called Alder Lake CPUs, which is sort of like a semi-recent processor used in 12th generation Intels. And it was preventing people from playing the game. It was preventing them from launching the game. And so they've had to fix that. That has happened since the last show. If you're still having that issue, there was a bug. There was a little thing that said, okay, we fixed it, and then it was like, oops, that didn't fix it, and then later on there was another fix, and apparently they think it's fixed now. So if it's still a problem, let them know. But it should not be a problem anymore for people. So if you're having that issue and you stop playing for a while, you can probably try it again now. All right, and
dropping a lot of money on that CPU, and then it's not working. It's got to be a real pain in the boot.
In the show notes, there's a whole list that Jackie Ko did. It's items that will be removed in 7.0. So if you're wondering if something's gone and was it just one of the things that disappeared during the expansion, well, there's a lot of them. And so, yeah. So a lot of tacticals actually went, and they converted to 100 credits. So not exactly super valuable. But yeah, a lot of tacticals, went. Renown, anything related to Renown went.
Bye-bye.
A bunch of boosts, especially ones that went with Renown, but also social boosts are gone as well.
That's right.
Yeah. Token of the cordial, token of the sociable are all gone. So those are all gone. And let's see, and she clarified a little later on. Tacticals listed are being removed because their effects moved into class ability packages, are not working as intended, or encourage negative gameplay, such as Go to Sleep and Fanged God Form, respectively. Because class abilities will be receiving the effects of the tacticals being removed, new tacticals will not be added. Crystal of Nightmare Fury is being removed because players have the ability to become stronger in 7.0 more than they've been able to in previous updates. Schematics that would be needed to craft tacticals will not be able to be purchased from Kai Zyken. And yeah, so there you go. There's a long thing for patch notes for 7.0. We can kind of hit some of the highlights, but there's a lot.
It's long.
Obviously, yeah.
Very long.
New storyline, new planet Manon, which is, it's a daily thing apparently, but it's also like where a lot of the story takes place. New Flashpoint Elam, Galactic Seasons 2, increased level cap, improved player experience, new character creation experience, because the character creation screen is much different. I'm going to be doing that for myself pretty soon, possibly as early as tonight, although I'm assuming the editing and everything goes well and I have time, I might get another stream in and might create a character, or I might finish the Republic story. I'm not sure what. And I do also want to see, of course, the Empire story right after that. But yeah, loadouts is new. Legendary items. So new items replace set bonuses. So instead of, we've always had set bonuses on, on armor, and you needed 2, 4, 6 to get those set bonuses. That's not the case anymore. There's no more set bonuses. Instead, it's these special items, and it's earpieces and implants basically have them. PvP Season 14 and the 10-year anniversary. So, oh yeah, and because 7.0 dropped, that means the discount pricing for Drummond and Coruscant Strongholds is expired. Once again, available at their standard prices. Although if I remember correctly, they're not. Those are the 2 cheapest ones anyway. They're not that bad.
They're real inexpensive.
It's just that, like, if you're a very new character, or you're really on a budget, like, you could have actually gotten a Stronghold for 10 credits, which is great.
Exactly.
Now it's like 5,000, something like that, if I remember correctly.
It's something really low.
It's pretty minimal, at least for the basic, the basic, and then you'll have to unlock, and that gets expensive pretty fast.
The unlocking is where the price is going to be like.
Right.
That's where it gets rough.
They said new hairstyles have been added to the game. I've looked around. Other people have been trying to figure that out too, whether it's new basic ones that everyone will have access to, or if you need to get them from the cartel market or whatever.
That's a great question.
I haven't been able to figure that out personally yet either. Maybe I'll be able to find out when I try a new character. But yeah, apparently there's some new hairstyles. Kai Zyken's inventory is now correctly working, because remember they had to it was kind of working funky for a while, but now and they knew it was going to be fixed at 7.0, and they just kind of gave us a heads up, and that's where we are now.
That's Kaizyken for you.
Yep. All PTS rewards, all test server rewards have been granted to all eligible players, except for Kaizyken's MK85 log mount. This reward will be granted with the next patch. Okay.
Nice. I was gonna say I hadn't seen one, so
Yeah, no one hasn't yet, but soon enough, I guess. Let's see. Guild perks reset is now aligned with the weekly reset because that was an issue for a little while. Now it's hopefully fixed. Let's see. Uncompleted daily and weekly missions are now removed from the player's log once the daily and weekly reset time passes. So there you go. Weekly missions now rotate in availability each week. And missions that require a terminal to complete will now auto-complete with the exception of bounty contract week missions. And then content scaling. So yeah, this was interesting just because like operations, like for a long time, like you could be level 50 and still do them, at least on story mode. And then they kind of moved to 55, and it was 55 for a long time until just literally a few months ago. And then they kind of like made it so that it was, you had to be higher.
wow.
Yeah, all operations have been scaled to 80 and require level 80 to enter. So operations are now strictly an in-game, an in-game thing. Players will be bolstered to item 318 in story mode. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
In flashpoints, they remain at their current play level with players scaled down to match. That's solo and story mode. In flashpoints veteran, scaled up to level 80. They remain available starting at level 15 with players being bolstered upward.
Cool.
And then master, scaled up to level 80, but also require level 80 to access. So yeah, there's no doing master until endgame as well. Uprisings veteran level are scaled up to 80, remain accessible at 70 with players bolstered upward. Uprising story and master remain at level 75 with players scaled down to match, if you're 80. And then chapters, all modes, remain at level 70 with players scaled down to match. The following systems have been removed: Renown, which we've already kind of mentioned, and amplifiers. So, buy amplifiers. Yeah. I mean, I had a set just, for character gift giving, and that's no longer useful. That was
I checked.
Yeah. Did you? That's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't check specifically on my gift giving gear, but I did look to see, if there was an amplifier mentioned anywhere, in the character UI, and there just isn't. It's just gone. Renown achievements have been moved to feats of strength, which is what happens to anything that's no longer achievable. They become feats of strength usually. Renown caches have been removed from the game. To keep the contents of the Renown caches, you needed to have opened them before 7.0, because otherwise they're converted into 100 credits. So if you... Right. And it could happen. Like I was always pretty good about opening them right away. I was never one of those people that had like a whole, mess of them to open all at once. But it's certainly possible that, right. Like maybe you do one thing, you play a little something, you leave that character, but it turns out you hit a renown level and you've got a renown box in your inventory. Well, now you have 100 credits. Change of the social system. The system no longer rewards points based on conversation choices, but rewards grouping activities. Achievements now require group finder activities rather than social levels. Character titles that previously came with the achievements are now legacy titles. Players who previously earned these titles should still have these, plus access to the new legacy ones. Social vendors on the fleet have been moved to the Cantina area and offer social rewards based on the player's social achievement progress. Yeah. So that's a whole new thing. Changes to the dark and light system. Dark and light side points can only be earned through conversation choices and diplomacy crew skills missions. So if it's really important to you that your character have the Dark 5 look, with the full veining and red eyes and all that, you're going to need diplomacy. You really are, because conversation choices ain't going to cut it. You're not going to get 10,000 points worth of conversation choices anytime soon. Yeah. So
black talent over and over and over again.
And what you should actually do is when you do the diplomacy, make sure to hover over it so that you don't do the ones that have some dark, some light, because they will still reward you more of whatever kind you want. But yeah, you definitely want the ones that like give you all dark or all light, depending on what you want. Remove the following dark versus light elements: the dark versus light challenge and the dark and light side token acquisition. So yeah. Spoils of War equipment no longer drops from content nor can be directly purchased from a vendor. The Spoils of War achievements have been moved to the Feats of Strength section as well. Sets are still obtainable via Kaizyken's random unique items box. So this is the thing is, there's all these set types, and there's a ton of sets, and now all of them have a title attached to them. Well, if you're a title hound, that's great, but there were a lot of them, and they're going to be really hard to get now. In fact, the only way, if you don't have one somewhere in your inventory that you can equip and therefore get it, you're going to have to just do it via the random unique item box, and that's going to take a long time.
Ouch.
Yeah, so
it's torture.
I mean, we did talk about this. Was like a tip of the week a while back, where we said, like if you really want one of these titles, you should get it now, and and if you have the what I had been doing for like the last 2 months since it kind of became a thing is anytime something dropped that had a set piece, I just equipped it just temporarily, unequipped it, backed out before I deleted it, and that way if I just didn't happen to have that one towards the goal, well, at least I got it. And I actually didn't really I think I got one set achievement that way. It was pretty not helpful, but it was something. There you go.
That's a great idea, though.
Yeah, I'm sure. And if it maybe later on, I'll be like, ooh, I thought that's a cool title, and maybe I want it, and then, well, maybe I'll only have to get one piece instead of like 2 pieces or something towards it. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's all good. Yeah. And a new legacy title is unlocked for each equipment set achievement unlocked before the 7.0 release. Yeah. And it should still work after this, I think. But whatever. Work alongside your allies with the new shared tagging system. So basically, the gray enemies is basically what it is. Right. Now, as long as you're on the same faction, all players, including healers, share mission credit and loot from that enemy encounter. So if someone's like fighting, you can help them in some way, and you'll actually get XP and stuff from them. I don't know if it's part of the new thing though, the new balance or whatever. But when I was leveling, Kitty, and I think you found the same thing, mission turn-ins were huge. XP from kills was like almost nothing.
Yeah. Finishing story stuff was enormous.
Yeah, I was literally gaining more than a level worth. Yeah. I was gaining. I went from like a tiny bit through 75. I skipped 76 and ended at 77, and then at the next big story break, I went a little bit further through 77, and I was a 79, and the next time it just popped me right to 80. No problem.
It felt a little too fast.
It was a little fast. I'm fine with it, but also like I was looking at the XP that was coming from kills, and I'm like, this is going to take forever until that first pop came. Right. Like I got that first. Actually, the bonus missions do a fair bit too. Like they give you like a 30% of a level. It's like crazy, but like the first time that happened, I was like 3% into the level. It's like, oh my god, I'm getting so little experience from kills. It was crazy. I don't know if that's actually one of the things I want to see when I create a new character, start from level 1. Does it feel the same way? Like, are you getting very little XP from kills and it's all going to be from mission turn-ins? Is that the new normal, or is that only for like 75 to 80? I don't know.
It kind of feels like it's always been like that.
It was a little bit like that in Onslaught, for example.
Really boosted up.
It was like Onslaught, but on steroids. Like on Onslaught, you definitely felt like you were getting some experience from kills and stuff, but it was really, as long as you got through the story, you got to 75. Like you got there, no worries. And because of that, even though it felt pretty good, the XP from kills really wasn't that germane. It wasn't that important. This time it's even less. It's like you're getting nothing from kills, and you're getting everything from the turn-ins. So, yeah. I imagine like stealthing through this stuff is going to definitely be the way to go.
Holy crap!
Yeah. All right. So anyway, if someone on your faction is fighting someone, and it's something you maybe need for the same mission, you guys are on the same mission, you're doing a daily or something, you can actually just heal them or help kill the guy, and you'll share credit and loot from that enemy encounter. When players encounter world bosses, all players, including those from opposing factions, share mission credit and loot from the world boss encounter. So it's really like
great.
everyone's just, yeah, everyone's piling on. It's not a good time to be a world boss. You are definitely going to be taken down hard. However, this does not apply to the following world bosses: Dreadtooth and Ancient Threat. So a couple of oddball exceptions there. Interesting.
I wonder why that is.
Yeah, tactical vendors are no longer designated by class. There's now only one tacticals vendor per faction. The Renown stash has been removed from the top menu bar drop-downs because there's no more Renown stuff. Login rewards have been updated. The following, the Renown boosts and stuff like that, the social boost because of the social changes, stuff that you'd expect would be gone is gone. Let's just put it that way. The following rewards have been added, though. Discovery, Archaeology, Bioanalysis, Tier 1, Reward 2. Discovery, Diplomacy, Investigation, Tier 2, Reward 2. Discovery, Scavenging, Slicing, Tier 3, Reward 2. And Discovery, Treasure / Underworld, Tier 4, Reward 2. What exactly that entails, I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I'm not sure if it's going to give you like a wealthy mission to send out on, or if it's just going to give you some crew skill stuff. I don't know. And there's also a Medal of Commendation, times 150, Elegant Chest of Loyalty, so that's pretty cool. So Medals of Com will be available because I know that's going to be important in this expansion.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's one of the things you need. Let's see. Again, the subscriber bonus rewards have also been updated in similar fashions. The ones that you would imagine would be gone are gone. The following have been added. Ambassador's Curiosities contain 5 Rakghoul DNA, 4 bounty contracts, and 3 Grey Helix components. That's interesting.
Wow.
Yeah. KDY construction kit times 2, or Galactic Seasons token. And the Galactic Season, that's kind of like Season 1. That hasn't changed too much. You can get, so you can, if you're a subscriber, you can get some Galactic Seasons token from login rewards. The subscriber, go ahead.
One thing that I did notice is that there is a cap on how many Galactic Season tokens you get. So be aware that not to go over that limit, or you could possibly lose the Galactic Season tokens. Okay. I'm not sure if they go into some sort of escrow or not, but there's definitely a hard cap on those.
Okay. Do you know how high it is?
I think it's like 15.
Is it 15? Like wow. Because that's like a season's worth. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, right. So in my case, what I've done accidentally is actually a pretty good way to go, because you basically get up to 15 with one season's worth, but I've spent some to get the first of the 2 strongholds. So I have actually a little bit of wiggle room, and then it sounds like before I get to the 15 again, I'm going to need to go and get the other one. So, okay, good to know.
Yeah, because I didn't get that because I wanted to save my tokens and see, maybe there'll be something cool available. So I think I'm going to end up getting that too.
Okay. Let's see. There's a couple, there's lots of minor things that we're just going to skip because, there's so much.
There's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot. So many. Imagine the kind of work that has to go in for an expansion. Even little things like this. The combat dummies on the fleets are now at level 80. You have to think about all those things. There's combat dummies on your ships. Those have to be updated.
Right.
The ones on the fleets have to be updated.
Where are the ones on the fleet? I can't think of where they are.
They're in the. They're in one of the. They're not in the main area. They're in one of the operation type ships.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
You have to kind of search for them, but they are there.
Gotcha.
Let's see. Keep going here. I had one other weird bug today. Did you have... I'll see if you had this too. It kind of stuck with my character for a while, and then it finally went away. But I had a camera issue. I usually don't have very many camera issues. I know how the camera works in the game. It's pretty much worked that way the whole time. But this time, I can't remember exactly what happened to cause it, but the camera ended up being above my character. like usually you zoom in, zoom out, and it's like you're zooming in and zooming out to your character, and then whatever you see past that is what you see. And that way, if you want to like kind of an over the shoulder thing, you zoom in close. You get in close on your character and also close to whatever they're
Right.
in front of. And then as you back out, it backs out straight away from your character, right? And then you can change the angle. You can be above your character and you'll look straight down at your character. You can
Right.
or move it around 360 and all that stuff, and that's normal. But in this case, it was like my character was like 4 to 5 meters above my character. So if I was looking straight ahead, I was looking like along the ceiling, and it was really hard to fight actually, because it was hard. Even tipping down the camera, it was like hard to get the angle on everything. And it stayed that way for a while. And it's like, and then I tried zooming in all the way into my character, so because you can actually go into your character if you want to.
Right.
And then I zoomed all the way back out, and it would sort of fix, and then it would unfix, and I would be bobbing up on the ceiling again. It was really weird.
That didn't happen to me.
That hasn't happened to you. Okay, good. I did
How
put
long
it
did it last?
a little while, like a couple minutes. Like it wasn't one of those things where it did it, and I just fixed it, and it was gone. Instead, it was like I would zoom in, zoom out, and it would, okay, that looks normal again, and then all of a sudden, boop, it would pop up, and it did like 4 or 5 times. And then I finally, like, at one point I fixed it again, and then it kind of stayed away finally. It was very distracting because it was very hard. You couldn't really see anything because, like, the camera, even if you try to angle the camera down, it's like, it's because, you're so near the ceiling and trying to angle it down. It's so bizarre. It was really annoying. I really hated that bug, man. So, yeah.
You got hit with all the bugs today.
Yeah, but that's how it is. That's the first day, that's the first day experience for sure.
That's exactly right.
That's all good. The reason I mentioned that bug is because they just mentioned the camera in the show notes here, in the 7.0 notes here. The environment no longer disappears in the following places when moving the camera. So, apparently there's some places where the environment was going away if you move the camera. Players can no longer fall between the wall and staircase in the hunting lodge and Onderon. I love stuff like that. One of the ones that did come up is there was these little tiny tauntauns in Hoth, like little mini tauntauns. They were like 5 inches long.
Like Honey, I Shrunk
And some of them were
Tauntaun?
invisible, and some of them were like, yeah, they were right, exactly. They were like pocket size. And it was just a bug, and and in the show, in the 7.0 notes, it said, the tauntauns around the Republic base will no longer be invisible or very, very tiny. And so Teresa was all over that. So she went right there and she hunted until she found them. So she has a screenshot, and I put it in the show notes as well. And it's a great little screenshot of like regular sized characters, and there's this little floating tauntaun like in the middle, just floating above the snow, and it's just like it's like half a meter long.
That's really, really funny.
Yeah, so that was pretty awesome.
Hey, Jackie Co just sent a little update that says tomorrow there will be maintenance.
Okay.
From 7 a.m. Central for about a half hour. So they're going to be taking the servers down for about 30 minutes.
Figure out some of the bugs. Makes sense. Yeah. This is pretty typical after an expansion. Yeah. Often if there's something that they can get on right away, they don't wait for like a patch. They try to get it and going. Especially, there's so many things. Yeah.
That was like Ghost. You were like, you were the ghost of your character.
Ghost of my character hovering above. I mean, I'm always hovering behind her, but above turns out really annoying. Really annoying. Yeah. All right. Let's see. There's a bunch of little, cartel market bugs and stuff coming up, but nothing too big there. Correcting typos, blah blah blah. Let's see if there's anything else really big here. Origin stories and combat styles. So rebalanced all the classes from level 1 to 80. So I'm going to be interested to see, and I know you will be too, because you and I are both like levelers, to see like what it feels like to do the class story now. Like, does it feel faster, slower? Is it more like the legacy content where like you're not really getting much for kills, but you get tons for for mission turn-ins? That'll be interesting to see. So it's been apparently though rebalanced, so we'll see how that goes. It has felt fast, but it's felt fast for a while, so I don't know if they really needed to slow it down or if that's really their goal. I don't know.
Right.
Maybe if their goal was to like put the emphasis on finishing missions, well, that should go pretty fast still anyway, because regardless of how they balance it around that, when I'm leveling, it's like, yeah, I do some killing and stuff, but if I'm on a stealth character, I'm still leveling okay, and I'm still doing all the class story turn-ins and stuff like that. So anyway, that'll be interesting. This was something, there's another thing you would have to think about if you're doing this kind of expansion. Player area of effective ability visuals have been updated to remove faction symbols for a cleaner look with less ground clutter and less confusion when pre-7.0 origin story and combat style factions do not match. I don't know if you've noticed that before, Kitty, but like certain trooper abilities, for example, will have a Republic symbol on the floor. When you fire, it'll actually put a Republic symbol right on the floor, stuff. And that happens with a few ground-based AOE abilities in the game. And of course, that doesn't make any sense if it's an agent doing it, which happens to have the trooper abilities now. Right. So that's really funny. And you'd have to so many little details you'd have to think of like that.
I never ever would have thought of that.
So it sounds like instead of trying to figure out a way to force them to match, they just took them away. They're saying it's for cleaner, but really, I think it's probably because you'd have to figure out, okay, now we've got to connect the ability to the actual class story and then make it so it's the Empire if it's the Empire and the Republic if it's Republic. I think we're just going to remove them. You know what I mean? I think they had that conversation. But I have no knowledge, of course, but it seems like a reasonable guess to me. Advanced classes are now combat styles, which determine how the player's character fights from level 1 and beyond. Yeah, it's interesting to see. That'll be another interesting thing to see. Like usually, like you could like if you're a scoundrel, you can choose your thing ahead of time, but it doesn't do anything until you hit level 10. You get that first ability, and then it's like, okay, well, now I'm actually in the spec. I'm not just a smuggler. I'm actually the backstab smuggler or the heal smuggler or the dot smuggler. So it'll be interesting to see if that feels any different. It's probably not that different because I don't think you get much before level 10 anyway, but it'll be interesting. Let's see. And all players have access to 10 loadouts to use between 2 combat styles for active subscribers and 1 combat style for free-to-play and preferred players. So that was interesting. So you don't get the extra combat style unless you're subscribed, but you still have 10 loadouts even if you're apparently free to play or preferred, which is interesting. So they just left that available for everyone. So loadouts are free to play, so that's cool. Good to know.
Yeah.
Jedi Origin Stories can choose Guardian, Sentinel, Sage, or Shadow combat styles on new characters during character creation, and similar for everyone else. Tech Origin Stories from any tech combat style during character creation. Blah 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 blah. This one I thought was interesting too. I was like, where did my class buff ability go? Because I was looking for it.
Yeah.
They are now passives. They are automatically applied to your character if you have them available. When you're grouping with another player, each player's unlocked buff is automatically applied as a passive buff to the other player. So if you're helping one of your new buddies along on their first character, you've got all 4 class ones unlocked. When you group up, then they will get those buffs as well, as long as you're with as long as they're with you. It's
not going to hit that thing every 60 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I didn't hate having to re-click it, but I would notice it. I would notice like, oh yeah, the timer's getting low. Anytime I noticed the timer was even like halfway, I would just hit it.
Yep. Boop. Me too.
So now I don't have to worry about it, and I guess I get another button too for what it's worth.
Right.
This is another interesting one for me. I wanted to make sure to hit this one. Vanish ability. Okay, because here's my experience in PvP. Like, I don't do a ton of PvP, but when I do it, I like being a stealth character a lot because I think it's interesting. Because, like, especially like if you can sneak a door. Sneak a door is so much fun. Like, it's hard to do. You have to get it when people with backs are turned. They're busy with fighting your other buddies or whatever. But if you can sneak a door, it feels great and it's a lot of fun. So I when I do PvP, it's often on a stealth character. Not always, but often. But the one thing I didn't like about it is the game is very winky, wonky, wonky, weird when it comes to vanishing. Like if you vanish, you should be out of combat, in my opinion. Like, unless they're hitting you with AoE or something like right away and redotting you or something, or you had something uncleansable that ticks after you go invisible, you should be out of combat. Like you should be able to vanish, and if you just turn a corner, you should be able to use your out of combat heal instantly. That's how it should work, really. Because it's like if you're vanishing, otherwise it's not a vanish. Like how am I vanishing and then I'm in combat? And sometimes I'm in combat for like a long time. I think it's like checking certain weird things. Like I think like if you're a smuggler and you've put a hot heal on someone, and that person stays in combat, it forces you to stay in combat. Right. I don't know exactly all the little behind the scenes rules that make it work, but for whatever reason, you can be vanished and stay in combat for like 5 or 10 seconds. And I'm not joking. It's not just one global, it's multiple globals, and it's crazy. It's crazy how hard it is to get out of combat in SWTOR. I'm going to be interested to see how this works. Vanish abilities now instantly drop all threats and allow players to enter stealth at max level. However, players are no longer able to use Vanish to exit combat in flashpoints and operations. So I guess they didn't want people to be able to vanish in flashpoints and operations because I think because of the out of combat res.
Exactly.
Because everyone has that. Even if you're not a healer, you have that 10. It takes like 8 seconds to cast it, but it is an out of combat heal. And if you could manage to get out of combat and stay out of combat, which in some boss fights you can actually res someone even though you're not a healer. And they just didn't want that. So now you won't be able to go out of combat if you're in a flashpoint or operation. So I guess it's just going to check to see if you're in one. And if you are, you're just going to stay in combat. But it sounds like you're going to instantly drop all threats and allow you to enter stealth at max level if you're in a Vanish. Now, whether that actually puts you out of combat in PvP, it's not really saying that, is it? I hope that's kind of what they're getting at, but that's not exactly what they're saying. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that it's better anyway. So I'm hoping the next time I try PvP and I vanish, that at least it won't take, multiple seconds to get out of combat.
Because I noticed the same thing. I would try to vanish, and I'm like, this isn't working.
Right.
Like I thought I would vanish, and that means drop all the aggro and everything
and be out of combat. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're out of combat. Mm-hmm. So if you're in a flashpoint operation, you can still vanish, and it has important effects because it drops all your threat. So, if you're a shadow tank and you're doing some sort of fancy, you can actually vanish to actually let the other tank, have the second highest threat, and all of a sudden they'll be the highest threat. You can, or if you're a DPSer and you got the attention of the boss by accident and you need to drop threat, you can use stealth and it will drop threat. So, there you go.
That is going to be very interesting. Synthetic says, it seems a bit rough for solo flashpointers, but you're not supposed to run them solo.
I suppose so, yeah.
But I guess that would put the kibosh on running those things solo.
I suppose so, yeah, because because I actually did a lot of gearing up in the last expansion, just rerunning on a stealth character. Yeah, and you do kind of like use your vanish to get out of stuff like that.
Right.
I wonder if it's possible, though. I guess we'll have to see what happens, because if you're in a solo situation, it is possible that if you're dropping all threat, you are the only one. And I guess your companion, but your companion goes into vanish mode if you do as well. Let's assume both successfully get into vanish mode when you're not dotted up or anything. There shouldn't be anyone else on their threat table, so maybe they do reset at that point, and then you truly would go out of combat. I don't know.
I'm sure we'll be hearing from Dekion about this very shortly.
It could be. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how that works.
Right.
Combat revives are now only available to healing disciplines. So by combat revive, they do mean in combat revive. Everyone will still be able to help a buddy up, at the end of a fight, for out of combat revive. But in combat revives are only available to healing disciplines. In other words, it used to be related to your advanced class, but you could be a DPSer and still have a combat revive. No longer the case. Now it's tied to your healing discipline. So as many healers as you've got in your operation, that's how many combat revives you've got.
That's going to be rough.
That could be rough because definitely people took advantage of that fact. Due to the combat styles change, abilities referencing factions have been renamed to remove the faction mention. Fair enough. And then utilities have been replaced by the ability tree. Yeah, and boy has it. So yeah, utilities are now gone. They're a thing of the past. Oh, that's another thing that we should mention. So in the previous expansion, you could get experience from getting conquest points. Basically, you would get conquest points and you would get a certain amount of experience points, or if you were max level, then you got renown points. And I actually leveled up my banking alt. She was level 56. I had gotten her barely to 56 at one point, just because it gave her one extra companion to send out. And then I just forgot about her. And I didn't really care that she didn't have the 8 even, because it would have been whatever it was, 8 or 10 levels to actually get from 6 to 8 and get everyone sent out. But I didn't really care. But then we started to be able to get experience from getting conquest points. So I was able to stay in my stronghold with her and just level her up doing the decoration one. Or if I wanted to do the amplifier one, I could do that one. Giving gift, getting a level up on your companion, going from influence 2 to 3 on whatever companion, that would work fine. And you get the influencer and you get some conquest points, and because of that you got XP, and she'd been level 75 for ages because of that. And I got a bunch of conquest boxes and stuff like that over time on her as well. Most of the little ones like that are kind of gone. A lot of those are gone. Well, first of all, amplifiers are gone, period, but a lot of the other little ones are kind of gone too. They're pretty much making it so that conquest, you have to go out of your stronghold and actually go out in the world and do stuff. There's some crew skill stuff that you could do, but here's the rub. And the decorator one is actually still there too. But here's the rub: you don't get XP for it anymore. I checked it today. She's at 75, 0 XP, and I did the little deco thing. Boom, got the conquest points. Checked it. She has 2,000 conquest points or whatever. It's not worth very much, but it's a few. And then check the XP, 0 XP. You do not get any XP for getting conquest anymore. So you're not going to get free banking leveling anymore. Free banking leveling is not going to happen in Legacy of the Sith. So just so you know, that is a change too. And it kind of is too, because I got a lot of boxes over the months, just for being on that character every day, which I would be anyway, because she's my banking alt. I'm always going to check in with her. Nowadays, I also do the daily login reward. I put it on her so that she takes care of it and all that sort of stuff. But now she won't be able to level up that way. Unfortunately, you don't get any XP for doing conquest points anymore. So she's going to be stuck at 75, which is fine.
Right.
And it's not, I'll miss it, but it's not the end of the world.
Right. You had it good for a long time.
Exactly. She got a lot of rewards. And unfortunately, remember the level is now 100,000 instead of 50,000 for the personal reward thing. They decided to bump that. And it didn't take long to do on the character where I was actually going through the Legacy of the Sith content. I actually got it today, even though I haven't even finished the Legacy of the Sith story. She actually dinged the 100,000 and got the weekly conquest box already. Right. But my banking alt, even if I get some crew skill, stuff done, and even if I do the decorating every day, she's not going to get anywhere near 100. So she's not going to get any of the, she's not going to be heading towards that reward either. So just so you know, if you've gotten used to that like I had, and you're kind of having that one character who's extra character getting the bonus every week, well, that ain't gonna happen anymore. Sorry.
I would see you log in and then go from character to character to
Yep.
character. I was like, there's banking alts in there somewhere.
Yeah, it's usually the first character.
That's funny.
It's usually the first character of the day is my banking alt, almost always, because otherwise I'll forget, you know. And I don't want to forget like with the daily rewards or anything. Speeder piloting will let's see. It does say speeder piloting will need to be upgraded or learned via a trainer. Okay, my bad. But players are no longer required to train new abilities via a class trainer, NPC, or item, as all gameplay abilities are now automatically trained. Okay, so I was a little off earlier. I had thought that speeder training was the same. But no, speeder piloting will still need to be learned or upgraded via a trainer. So that is... So you'll still need a Dr. O for something, I guess.
Right.
He won't be good for much, but he'll be good for something. Yeah. And now players who do not have the field specialization perk can now change their discipline in any sanctuary instead of having to go to the skill mentor NPC. That's interesting too.
That is really interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. And there's a lot of little bug fixes and changes and this and that. This person doesn't show here and blah blah blah.
There's a lot of stuff.
Yeah. And let's see. There's one. I think there's one other chunk here. And they even mentioned the Alder Lake CPU bug, but they already said that it had already been fixed on February 8th. And there was a follow-up for the digital collector's edition. If you bought it on Steam, there was an issue. People weren't getting it. But the follow-up was that the issue has been resolved. All impacted players will automatically be granted their purchase today and will not need to reach out to support for assistance. So if you did get your digital collector's edition by buying it on Steam, it should now be in your character's mail.
Yeah, I think Kitty Treats had a problem with that.
She even mentioned it at the beginning of the episode in chat, but hopefully she'll be able to go in and get it now. There's also a hover pod. There's a few new cartel items, not beyond like the actual things that we talked about earlier, where you get the whole batch of stuff at once.
Right.
This is actual like regular cartel items that you buy individually. Hover pod mini pet. Basically, it's the Baby Yoda pod. There's not really anything visible inside it. Like there's a lump of something, but it's not like there's a character or anything.
It's if you're on a smuggler, it's spice.
Yeah, I can see that.
Incognito, it's supposed to look like a baby of some sort, but it's spice.
Right. There's an Arkan's mask. So if you like the look of Arkan's mask, it's now available as a cartel item. And then there's 3 blaster pistol, blaster rifle, and sniper rifle, all called the SE-12B. So blaster pistol rifle or sniper rifle. The videos didn't come over to the show notes properly. There's also Darth Vindican's lightsaber. But something I liked about the SE-12B pistol rifle and sniper rifle is I thought that was really cool that they have like these little recoil bits. So like in a regular gun, and of course a blaster isn't a real gun, so I don't know how this actually works. But anyway, in a regular gun, like if you've seen it, especially if it's like more of like an automatic type weapon, you'll actually see like a little slide, the actual slide on the side of the gun that actually kicks backward when the bullet is fired, and so it's like a little recoil action thing that happens. And and these guns have that. It's really cool. So like every time it has a little blaster effect, it also has this little recoil thing effect on the gun.
Is there a casing? It looks really slick.
I didn't notice one.
I always like that kind of stuff.
That is pretty cool, though.
I've given up poking holes in any Star Wars stuff. Just sit back and enjoy the ride.
Yeah, so let's see. Galactic Seasons 2 is kicking off, and lots of changes compared to the Season 1. We'll just hit some of the highlights here. Priorities objectives are now season objectives, mostly for clarification. Moving season objectives onto their own tab, so there's like a little special tab for them. Daily emphasis is shifting to weekly emphasis. There are daily things, but they're as far as how many points you get, they're sort of emphasizing the weekly stuff rather than the daily stuff. Excuse me. Season objectives are no longer randomized, so that's interesting. And then you choose any 7 weekly structure. So there's player will only be able to complete 7 out of the 10 weekly season objectives. So that way, you don't have to feel like you're being encouraged to finish absolutely everything.
Right.
So yeah, daily season objectives is now earning conquest points. So that's interesting.
Do you think Marcus already paid?
Oh, I don't know. Oh, that's right. Because well, I guess you could probably buy up again, just like you could last time, and he did. He bought hard.
If he's done for it, I bet he's already paid for it.
He was done on like day 1. That was so funny. We'll have to see. Yeah, we'll have to see. There's a lot of credits sloshing around in the game now.
Yeah, there is.
So Season 2 will introduce a new reputation track, the Shadow Syndicate, an underworld syndicate led by the Season 2 companion, Fen Zale. I'm guessing the pronunciation, but it seems reasonable. Once a prominent organization on Nar Shaddaa, tensions between the Shadow Syndicate and the Exchange, as well as unchecked infighting, led to their downfall. Fen, who has a long history in the underworld scene, has established himself as the new figurehead and is looking to bring about a new Shadow of the Underworld with your help. Players can assist Fen Zale and the Shadow Syndicate by redeeming Underworld Syndicate plans earned by completing season objectives, participating in Flashpoint's operations and uprisings, and by defeating enemies throughout the galaxy. Turning in these plans over to the Shadow Syndicate on Nar Shaddaa will allow players to progress in this new reputation track. So there's a new reputation in the game. It sounds pretty cool too.
Yeah,
I like the idea that there's kind of a bit more story in this one. I like the companion in the first season. It seemed be a little story light to me though. So this sounds like it'll be a little juicier. Players will also be able to trade large quantities of Jawa junk for Jawa intel. See the informative Jawa located in a non-discrete location of the Cartel Bazaar. It is kind of hidden, or at least it was on the test server on the Imperial and Republic fleets. Using Jawa intel will temporarily increase the chances of obtaining additional Underworld Syndicate plans from enemies throughout the galaxy. So in other words, you'd want to use that right before you're like going to go into Flashpoint or do a bunch of dailies. Anything that you're going to just kill a bunch of dudes. So there you go. And there's tons and tons of rewards. A whole set of weapons, a whole set of just like last season, the companion, sets of armor, a couple of mounts. There's like the mounts are sort of interesting. They're kind of like a halfway between like a regular sort of bike mount that you'd be seated on, but they're also halfway between that and like Rey's speeder thing on the very beginning of Force Awakens. So sort of the very upright sort of speeder thing that she used. It's a little shaped like that. Yeah, and the critter mount is crazy looking, with like two sets of eyes on top of each other and a big mouth with like giant underbite or giant tusks coming up, I guess you'd call them. Kind of interesting, yeah. There's like even a little lantern hanging off the back and stuff. Some really nice details. Decos, as you'd expect as well, including some really nice ones that look like little screens that you place on the wall, which I love. I think that's going to be really cool looking. And yeah.
Is that I'm looking at the picture of, you were just talking about on the far right. That looks like a disguise.
Of the critter mount?
No, the one below.
The decos?
Yeah.
Oh, it could be I guess it could be a disguise thing. Yeah, I don't know.
I have all of them, and I love them.
You love the disguise things? Yeah. Well, if it is, it does have that same sort of general look, doesn't it? Maybe it is one. I don't know. But yeah, it looks cool, whatever it is. It also looks like it could almost be like a either a health scanner or like a bioscanner of some kind. Yeah.
Cool.
Yep. And they're also letting you know that like some of the older stuff is also available from the vendor, like certain of the ship droid customizations, stuff like that are available. So if you've been in the game, like consistently, you probably have it. But if you like them, but you didn't get it because you weren't in the game at that point, then they become available. And let's see.
Oh, cool.
What's that?
Oh, I'm just looking at some of the companion customizations for Ranos, Nico, and Darth Hexed.
Mm-hmm.
Those really cool. I didn't know those. I didn't know those were there.
Yeah.
I like it a lot.
Yep, they already have come out with a known issues list. Some of them we've already talked about, and there's tons of like little bitty ones as well. Like the character camera in the preview window cannot be dragged, so they know about that. So I'll when unlocking outfit slots in the character sheet with credits, the additional outfit slots 3rd, 4th, and later appear to be hidden until the sheet is closed and reopened, stuff like that. So there's lots of little bugs that they're working on. And let's see. Let's see. There are some people who have been having troubles not getting past the loading screen, getting into the game. They seem to have fixed some of those, but then they asked again for some more help. So, and other people are getting empty server lists. So if you're getting the empty server list, that's also something they're working on, and they're actually asking for questions to see if people know about it. And
hopefully they'll be able to take care of some of this in that,
right,
downtime tomorrow morning.
Yep. In the time since the last show, Volk did an interview with Chris Durrell, gameplay designer at BioWare. It was an interview about balance in the game and how they do that, and also class design in general. A lot of interesting stuff in that. The link is in the show notes, and if you're interested in balance or just game design in general, I'd highly recommend it. Really, really good questions that Volk asks and gets answered. Also, happy birthday, 90th birthday to John Williams, who turned 90 since the last show. Still around, still doing work. He's one of those guys who's just going to be in the saddle until he drops. He's not. He's not going to be. He's not going to retire unless death or severe disability prevents him, which is great. Obviously. And Meltza, who actually was the winner of the Volpilla mount earlier, he also sent in a picture to us as a sort of a joking tip of the week, because he learned how to float. There's a place in the Jedi Temple with those little orbs, like that giant kind of weird orby looking thing that kind of hovers in midair, in the middle of the Tython, like the Jedi area, Jedi Temple in Tython. There's also these little orbs, and you could apparently found this little spot where you can kind of jump and end up in midair. So
cool.
It's just sort of a weird flutter in the game. And speaking of, why don't we do the other Volpilla mount code right now, Kitty?
That sounds like a great idea. Bow Froley,
congratulations. All right, well, I'll get you that here in just a sec here. And Bow Froley,
I'm sending you.
Woo woo. All right, I'll send you that in just a second, Bow Froley. And is there anything else, Kitty?
Yeah, I have a couple little things.
Okay.
Kitty Treats and myself are going to be doing 5 days in a row of our dual streaming. It's the 7.0 dual streaming extravaganza starting tomorrow until Sunday.
Nice.
So come on by.
Whoop whoop.
Be nice to see everybody. And we will also be on Working Class Nerds this Thursday, the 17th.
Excellent.
So keep an eye on that.
That is wonderful. And you guys have been really keeping up that whole weekend dual stream thing. Love it. And it'll be fun to see you on this show. So, and you'll have to ask him if he got to 100 already on the Galactic Seasons.
I'll text him.
All right, then. That's a show. If you'd like to play with us in the Utini Knights Guild on the Republic side of the Teal Sean server, or in our
Teddy Rage
Guild on the Empire side, do a /C join Utini to join the Utini channel. Then let us know you're a fan of the show. You can email questions and comments about the show to OotiniCast@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter using @OotiniCast. You can find contact details for us on our website, OotiniCast.com, which includes how to subscribe using iTunes, Stitcher, and the rest. We record the show live bi-weekly, Tuesdays, 4 p.m. Pacific, by streaming at twitch.tv/OotiniCast. Our theme song is Doomsday by Jean-Paul Zogby. And thank you to the chat room. Thanks, everyone.
Chat.
All right, and let's go ahead and see who is streaming, and we'll send. Let's go do a raid. Get to the dashboard here.
Kid Lee.
Kid Lee. All right, that sounds like a good one to me. Let me get to the proper button here. And let's go see Kid Lee. What's that?
Chimeri's on.
Oh, do we want to? We should really do Chimera.
Yeah, let's do Chimera because
All
he's
right.
part of the brother sisterhood.
Do I have the spelling wrong? Chimera. Let's just do Swotor and I'll find him. Oh, that's right. He has a "the" in front of it, doesn't he? There we go. All right, let's go say hi to Chimera. And there we go. In 10 seconds. Thank you for coming, everyone, and we'll see you next time.
Everybody, we'll see you later.
And here we go. Boop. Okay, the raid's going, so I'm going to stop the stream, stop the